Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for the preseason webinar for golf coaches. This is Mike Zarnowski. I'm the VP of Programs for Special Olympics Maryland. With us on the call are Kendall Zeswitz, who is one of our newest staff members. She's joined us as a Regional Sports Director, and she has golf as one of the sports that she oversees. Also, Chuck Helmuth, who's a member of our golf sports management team. And I believe we have some other golf SMT members on the call as well. Bill Lowe, Matt Anderson, I think Bob Baker was going to join. I forget anyone else from the group, but thank you to all of them and such. One of the things that are a couple housekeeping items here. The session tonight is being recorded, and we will send out, it probably won't be until Friday, but we will be sending out the slides, and the recording will also include a copy of the rules with that going out on Friday. So you will get these slides. In addition, unless you've been if you've been a coach for another sport that we've done, particularly in the spring, you're used to, or you've seen the new audio connection or way of asking questions here with the webinar. We've made a few changes since last year's golf session. If you have a question, you can, on your control panel, which is the little thing that'll pop up if you hit that white arrow inside a red box, you can either raise your hand. You'll see a little icon for a hand, and you just click on that. And if you do that, Kendall, who is going to be being our moderator for tonight, when we get around to the pre-competition webinar, we'll flip roles, and she'll be the main presenter with some members of the sports management team, I'm sure. But just raise that hand, and Kendall will find an opportune time to have us pause and let you ask your question. The other option is the question section of your control panel as well. Just go ahead and type your question in there if you would like, and Kendall will be monitoring that as well. And again, she'll interject as time is appropriate or time allows. So again, thank you much for taking some time out this evening, and we're looking forward to a great golf season. So starting out here, so tonight we'll talk about several different things. As you can see here, some of the more administrative things with the golf mailing list, the management team, a little reminder on USA Games, and then touch on some of the upcoming events and a quick review of the rules, a training session that's been set up, and then any questions that you may have. So for the golf mailing list, this is the same mailing list that we've utilized over the years and can add to it. Kendall will be utilizing this to send out the various notifications to golf coaches and such. If you're already on it, you should continue, but if you want to be safe, go ahead and send her an email to the email address that's there. Again, you'll get these slides, so you can just click through to that, and it'll get an email to her. So just contact Kendall. On a regular basis, I don't know that this will be weekly. We're looking at the best use of that time. But on a regular basis, you'll be getting scoring updates, tee sheets, so on down the line, who's info and who's qualified, etc. And it's open to pretty much anybody who would like to be on the list, any athletes, partners, caddies, and so on down the line. We'll also like to introduce our golf sports management team. Several folks here. In fact, I think most of them have been on for a little bit. But big thank you to this group of folks for making the season work so efficiently and for making various arrangements there. Again, we'll hear from Chuck, I know, is on the phone with us, and some other folks may chime in at various points. There are four areas. This really hasn't changed, but really focusing on enhancing training opportunities, improving equipment and opportunities for golfers, growing the qualifier schedule, and handling, hosting the state competition. As a reminder, if one of your athletes is either on a candidate for the USA Games, the announcement for who was selected and who was an alternate will be coming out, I believe, on Friday. But if they are a candidate or an alternate for the USA Games, they need to compete this season in the event in which they qualified. So if they are a candidate, if they're one of the female athletes with a male partner, they would have to do the level 2 event for golf for this season. And if they're the level 3, which is a male athlete and a male partner, they would need to do level 3. Because those are the events that they are being added into for the games in Seattle next summer, and they need to be competing in those events this year. We're very happy to announce that we've been able to arrange training at, I believe this is a new facility. I don't know that we've used Hillendale before, but the facility manager there, Kendall, the gentleman's name again is it Brandon Greco?
Yep, Brandon Greco.
Okay. I believe you say he has a family member or 2 family members who have intellectual disabilities?
Yes, he has an 8-year-old son who attends Cedar Lane in Howard County.
Okay, great. So there's a nice connection there, and we're thrilled to open this up. So on Saturday, the 19th of August, from 2 to 4:30 at Hillendale. Phoenix is in, for those of you who aren't familiar, if you know where Hunt Valley is, it's up in that general area. That's that part of Baltimore County that's there. It is open. We will be sending a registration link. There is a limit of 50 individuals. There is no fee to attend this session either. So hopefully we'll get a nice, good turnout for this. The general schedule, again, the check-in and review, we're working out some more of the details in terms of the actual official specific content that will be covered. But should be an enjoyable day. So as a reminder, hopefully this is old hat for everybody who's on the call. We won't belabor this, but do want to walk through and make sure folks are aware. So there are 3 deadlines that are key to registering for the golf tournament. One is the training registration deadline, which is August 17th. By that date, everybody who's participating in your golf program needs to be registered as training in GMS. GMS is our computer system, and I should point out, as is noted down at the bottom, these dates are the dates by which it needs to be in our computer system, entered in. You are not able, unless you happen to be the GMS manager for your county, you're not able to enter that directly. You need to work with that individual. So please do reach out, identify who that person is if you don't know who he or she may be, and work out with them when and how you're going to get the information to them so that they can get it in by the dates that are listed there. And keep in mind, you typically are not going to be able to get it to them on August 17th and expect that they're going to get it in on August 17th unless you've made arrangements ahead of time. Frequently, they're going to need it or want it a week ahead of time as they fit this volunteer responsibility in amongst their other aspects of their life. So training registration, just list of who's participating in your program, that needs to be in by August 17th. You can certainly add people after that date, but anybody registered after that date is not eligible for the state competition. Then for any forms that are outstanding, they need to be in by the 25th. I want to be absolutely clear. That is, the standard is still there, as it has always been, that no athlete can participate without a valid active medical. So this is not saying that they can participate up until the 25th without a medical, not saying that at all. It's just that that medical, if that form has not made its way into state headquarters, that's the deadline, that's the last date that we'll accept them. Same thing goes for volunteers, volunteer, partner, coach, et cetera. They have to have their volunteer application in to headquarters by then. Again, no volunteer can participate without a valid volunteer application. This is just that the date by which that has to get into headquarters. In addition, actually, I don't think it's listed here, but it's on the next slide. There's also a protective behaviors that needs to be done for coaches, partners, and volunteers by that date, and all coaches must have their coach concussion certification in. In addition, all head coaches, we're sticking with head coaches again this year, need to have their sport certification done by that date as well. So if they attend the training session and they have a previous certification, that'll renew it for 3 years. And then the competition registration deadline, which is September 7th, that's the date by which we need to have everybody entered in. Now, of course, we'll know through the process of the various qualifiers what events they're in, but that's also the date by which, if there's anybody who is not going to be going to the state competition, that those individuals have been deleted. It's important to delete them at that point because otherwise your area, while there isn't a standard fee, we cover the headquarters covers the cost for the state level events. But if you have more people than are appropriate for the number of athletes that you have, there may be a fee that's charged if you haven't scratched them. So, but again, the whole message here with these deadlines as well is work with your area individuals. If you don't know who the person is or who the people are in your area that handles GMS and that handles submitting medicals and volunteer applications, et cetera, contact your area director and he or she can point you in that direction. Hopefully, everybody knows who those individuals are within your county. Unfortunately, we can't provide that to you. That's something your county is managing.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
We have a question from Bob Mueller.
Okay. You can go ahead and open Bob's line up. Hi, Bob. Bob, can you hear us? It looks like there may be an issue for Bob with his microphone. Not sure what the problem is. Bob, we'll try one more time. No, I'm sorry, we're not hearing you. Bob, if you want to type your question into the question window, then Kendall will ask that on your behalf. I'm sorry that we can't hear you. We'd love to hear your voice. So, the coach requirements, this is just a summary of some of the stuff that was on the previous screen, that all coaches prior to their starting to coach need to have a Class A volunteer application in with their standard volunteer screening, the protected behavior screening. These are all valid through the state competition date. The online concussion training, and then for head coaches, the coach sport certification for the sport that they're coaching. All of the above are good for 3 years. And then as a reminder, unified partners and all other volunteers need to complete both the volunteer screening and the protected behavior screening in order to volunteer with Special Olympics. If you aren't familiar with it or you need to have it revised, the protected behaviors, it takes maybe 10 minutes to do this. It's required, again, of all volunteers, coaches, partners, so on down the line. There's a link right here that'll take you through. It's self-paced. Again, you read some questions, you read some content, you take some questions. I think it's a 10-question or a 12-question quiz. When you've completed it, you should get an email notification that you completed it, or you can just take a screenshot of it and then send it in to Rachel Maddock there, as is noted. And then we'll update your record for that. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, but it is a requirement. We're not trying to be overly bureaucratic, but it is for the safety of the athletes, and quite honestly, it's a requirement for our insurance provider as well. So want to be able to continue to have insurance. So, and then similarly, again, the concussion certification was added in a few years ago. It became effective and mandatory for all coaches effective January 1 of 2016. I think most folks are in pretty good shape, but there are two, and unfortunately there are only two courses that are qualified. It's the CDC, Centers for Disease Control concussion course that's noted there. That takes about 30 minutes to do, and then there's NFHS, which is National Federation of High School Sports. I have a similar one. It's a little bit longer. It's actually based on the CDC course with the link there. We do not have the authority to approve any other courses at this time, even if it's something that someone's taken for their job, unless what they've taken for their job is one of those 2 courses that are there. And in some cases, if they're a high school coach or whatever, they may have taken one of those courses already. So if it's the same course, not a problem. Both are free. We recommend the CDC course because A, it's a little bit shorter, and B, actually accessing it is a little bit easier than the NFHS course. But both are fine. After you take it, just submit your PDF of your certificate that you get from the course. And if you've taken one of those previously for your, again, for your job, if you're a coach or an educator or any other situation like that, and you've already taken it within the last 3 years, you can just send that certificate in to us as well, and that'll be fine. But it has to be one of those courses. Okay.
Mike, we have a question from Jim Kirshner.
Hey, Jim. Okay, Jim, your line should be open now.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, who would have the information on the relevant dates of expiration for, the coaches certification, the training, the unified partners? Is that the area director? Would they have sort of the database for that?
The person who handles the GMS for your county should have access to that.
Okay.
And if they don't know how to access it, they can contact their regional sports director, and we'll coach them through that.
Okay.
So you're with Baltimore County, I think?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think Anna Albert is handling that for you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Good question and relevant for a lot of folks too. So. Okay, so qualifying for the state tournament, it's pretty straightforward, but you need to, and this is for your athletes as well as the partners and such, meet all the requirements in terms of the training registration and deadlines and getting things in, that the coaches have met the requirements as well, so no one can participate in the state tournament without a coach, and then compete in at least 2 sanctioned qualifiers. We'll look at what we have on the books at the moment in just a moment. Keep in mind that that's a minimum. We certainly would like folks to take advantage and have as much competition as possible. We also recognize, though, that there's, at this point in time, there's still a limited number of qualifiers that are available out there. And so it may, unfortunately, it may be the minimum that we have to go with. But we are always looking for more qualifiers, but folks need to be able to attend 2 in order to advance to the state competition. As of now, we have 5, I believe, that are on the books in this order here. So 2 from St. Mary's, 1 from Anne Arundel, 1 from Montgomery, and 1 from Howard. We are certainly looking for others, and we recognize that it may be possible that we don't have all of them up there. So if there are any others that you know of, or if anybody is planning to host one, and just that doesn't have everything completely firmed up, if you could let us know, that would be great.
Mike, I have a question from Al Meinart.
Okay. Is we opening the line from him, or is this a typed question?
I'm trying to open the line. It's not letting me unclick it. Oh, there we go.
How about me? Yep. My question is regarding the coaches certification. Is this considered for the unified partners, or are they considered a playing coach? And
good question. While we recognize, golf is sort of a unique animal, if you will. I mean, effectively, they are a playing coach, but according to the rules, they are a unified partner, and the only thing we'll enforce are the standards for a unified partner. We certainly recommend going through and doing the concussion certification and anything else. But yeah, I mean, sticking with the rules, they are a unified partner, and so they are not necessarily required to do the concussion or the sports certification, but highly recommended.
thank you.
Okay. And it looks like Alicia is saying that Prince George's is planning one as well. I don't know if anybody else has anything. Again, work with your area directors. We really would like to get as many more as we can on here. so people have as many opportunities as possible, because some are smaller than others, but all of them, all of the qualifiers, the space is going to be limited to some degree. So many as we can get in. Please also note when you're looking at qualifiers and looking at opportunities, make sure you check what levels are being offered. So the registration information for this will come out with to the golf email list that we mentioned at the very beginning of the slide deck, and we'll so that'll be in a few weeks. We'll have that on registering for the August, or well, not a few, I guess a week or so for the August 6th, and we can get that all lined up. Okay. Moving on. Oops, sorry. So did want to touch on some rules. A couple things before we start going through the rules, and then I'll pass bits of it off to Chuck then. Or actually, Chuck, you want to mention, can you touch on the three frequent rule violations that are noted there, and just clarify for folks what we're talking about and what the proper procedure is?
Okay. If you're in a trap, you cannot ground your club and test the sand. You must hover your club above the ball and or swing and touch the ground outside the trap as far as your practice swings. Once you're in the trap, there's no touching the sand until it's the actual swing. Second one, hitting out of turn, is that mostly happens when you're going from, let's say we're playing level 2 and you're starting on the 8th hole. And let's say the unified partner starts first. So on the 9th hole, obviously the athlete would start first, and then you come around to the first hole. Now here's the trick. The trick is that the first hole is an odd numbered hole, and therefore the Special Olympian hits first on that hole also. So whatever person starts off on an even hole or an odd hole, you stick with that rotation, even and odd, not next and next. Miss swing. This is what I always counsel coaches are, especially with the new members, is to stay very near to your golfer, and the partners to stay very near to your golfer, because quite often when the new people take a swing and miss, they'll rear up and swing again. That actually counts as a stroke and a penalty, because there's been 2 swings. So then when you actually go to start, you're hitting, you're not hitting second ball, you're hitting 4th ball. So pay particular attention to that.
Thanks. The next item in terms of scoring eligibility, we'll look at the rules in just a minute, but this was somewhat controversial and such. For Maryland, for the activities in the state of Maryland, the rule regarding the maximum score for a particular level will not be enforced. However, we really strongly recommend and request that you use those as guidelines in terms of determining the appropriate level for your golfers. If they're on 9-hole and they can't hit below, I think it's 70, maybe they're not ready for that level yet. But we will not, in Maryland, we will not disqualify someone who exceeds that. Do note, though, however, that is enforced at higher level competitions, whether we're talking the USA Games in Seattle or we're talking anybody going to the National Invitational Tournament, which, by the way, as an aside, if folks had gone to that in the past, because of the USA Games being in Seattle and the need to do a test event, the NIT for 2017 has already been held, and that was held back in the end of June. So there is not one this fall. But there will be returning, I assume, in 2018. But anyhow, those maximum scores do come into play and do kick in for any higher level competition. Again, we'll look at the rules in just a second. The 2016 rules did not get published prior to the start of the golf season last year. So I don't think we enforced them or put them in. They are in play this year. That said, we've gone through, we looked at the summary of changes, and there's really nothing that's substantially changed. The layout and format looks a little bit different. I think it's a little easier to read and easier to find some stuff. They updated a couple diagrams. I think I don't know whether stuff was wrong in the old ones or just need to be clarified. And then for the number of scorecards or rounds that are necessary for USA and World Games, that changed. That moved up to 6, which really doesn't apply for us right now. So that said, let me open up this. So this is the new golf rules. And just kind of scrolling through, so you can see they look a little bit different. We're not going to read through everything, but just want to use this as a little bit of a highlight. Again, listed the events. We've talked about level 1, level 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, most people should be familiar with this and are noted there. That qualifying thing that we said we are not adhering to, well, this is actually guidance in terms of moving up or down. Again, this is good guidance, but we won't be enforcing it in any kind of a disqualification. Oh, and then here's the actual maximum averages. So again, good guidance, will not be enforced to disqualify. A couple other things, let's see. So golf carts. We will be at the state tournament. Everyone will be using golf carts. That said, anything outside the state of Maryland, such as, again, USA Games, NIT, et cetera, the standard is that golf carts are not used by the golfers. They may be used to move the clubs around, but unless there's a medical issue. But for us, we do use the golf carts, and mainly that's to keep up the pace of play moving through. Looking here, Chuck, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to touch on attire or caddies. I don't think there's been any major issues with any of that.
Mike, we have another question from Al.
Okay. Open his line. Got to hit it again. There we go.
My question is, last year we had a coaches training, and there had been discussion of a change with regards to the red marker and the males, and then it was where everybody was going to just hit from the red markers, and then later on it was like, no, you got to go back to the back or the 2 club links. Have they changed that and made it one way or the other?
That rule, I mean, looking at, I don't have the specific list of rule changes. There is a document that lists that. That was not noted there as a change. So whatever the rule was, as we get through here, that may be noted, and we can double check that. But my understanding, I say this, I'm not a golf expert. I'm not even remotely close to a golf expert. If it was soccer, if it was track, if it was a couple other sports, I could give you an expert answer. But I can tell you definitely that was not listed as a rule change. Chuck or anybody else from the sports management team, any input on that?
Say the question again.
Oh, Al got, there he is. No.
Do you remember the question, Mike?
Make sure that we were making sure that everybody had the right data as far as males and the tee box location for them to hit. Last year, the year before, there had been discussion about everybody hitting from the same spot because there really is no advantage either way. But I just want to make sure if there was a change or not.
Last year we kind of fudged it. What they did in Seattle is that they had 2 sets of tee boxes on the ladies' tees. So in order to get people used to it, I think you should tell them if you can't set up the 2 tees for your qualifiers on the ladies' tee box, at least tell them to play, you know, as far back as they can that's practical without getting themselves in trouble on the ladies' tee box. And another thing that was one of the frequently asked questions or frequently messed up in tournaments is when somebody's on a tee box and hits the ball and thinks it goes out of bounds, they should automatically declare a provisional and have the partner or the other person hit another tee shot. Then if you go out and happen to find the first ball, then the second person plays the second shot from finding the first ball. If you play the second ball because you can't find the first ball, then whoever was hitting first is now hitting second. Any questions on that? It's a very much of a time waster to think that, to pray and hope that your ball is inbounds, and then if you can't find it, have to go all the way back to the tee box. You can't play it as an unplayable. You have to go back to the tee box when it's a white marker which indicates out of bounds.
And Al, in answer to your question about at the state tournament, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, we have had and will continue to have 2 tee boxes or two tee points for each hole.
They have in the past, yes.
Yeah, that was the crux of it as opposed to going to 1. Okay.
Right.
We're looking here, Chuck, anything, any issues or whatever to bring up on caddies?
No, that all looks like straightforward.
Yep. Okay. Max of 14 clubs for folks. One thing that would be helpful, I think, for folks, if Chuck, if you can give it for each of the skill stations, just a brief description for each, that would be great. So on the short putt.
On the short putt, yeah, it's a very, very simple shot, and there's one to you can score 1, 2, 3, or 4 putts. I think it says up above that you can get a max
20
right.
Points.
Yeah, so there's 5 balls at each station. So if someone this doesn't usually happen on short putt, but if somebody swings and misses, that counts as a swing, and that would be a 0. If someone swings and just touches the ball, and doesn't matter where it goes, they get a minimum of 1. If they hit it inside the outside circle, they get a 2. If they hit it inside the inside circle, they get a 3. If they happen to make the putt, which happens maybe 5, 6 times per qualifying tournament, they get the maximum, which is 4 points. Okay.
And then for the long putt, basically the same thing, right?
Same rules, just longer putt.
Yep. Okay. Chip shot.
The chip shot is usually the hardest one to set up as far as the qualifiers, because you need a lot of space around the pin. So for those people that are doing the qualifiers, make sure you look at the diagram. See, it has to be a 6-meter radius, the outside circle. So the pin has to be at least 6 meters away from the outside of the area. People usually use the practice chipping area or the practice green area for that. So you have to make sure that the pin is set up at least 6 meters from the end of the mown grass. And if the hole is not there, the people at whatever course you're at can easily make you a new hole. They all have hole makers. That you just got to find the right guy that does a hole maker. And then for the chip shot, I have people practice with either a 6-iron, 7-iron, or 9-iron, whichever works best for them, because you don't really have to get it in the air much. You just have to run it. And then it's the exact same scoring as we talked about with the short putt and the long putt.
And the pitch shot?
The pitch shot is the hardest one to set up because it has the most floating points. And for that one, I encourage you to, you don't have to actually make the circle because you can just kind of imagine that, but I encourage you to bring out your barrier for practices so that the people are used to trying to hit over something and still hit it relatively short. They should be using a lob wedge, sand wedge, regular wedge, or at most a 9-iron in this shot. I've seen some people, these qualifiers, walk up with a 7-iron, and I don't think I could do a 7-iron for that short a shot. It's mostly and some of the people swing way too hard. It's just a very easy, simple shot, and quite often the players are not hitting the greens in 2 or in regulation. It's quite often there's a shot like this where you have to hit it over sand or, God forbid, over water to try to get on the green.
I think it's just the wood and the iron that are
yeah, that's just more descriptions. That's just more descriptions of the points. Oh, I'm going to go over the points. Okay, so the same thing on the points. From the hitting area, if you swing and miss, it's a 0, and zeros count. You have to all swings count, and if you hit it anywhere, you get 1 point. If you hit it over the barrier and then and don't touch the circle, the 12 diameter large area, if you don't touch that, you get 2 points. If you hit it over the barrier and land it short of the 12 meter diameter target and roll into the 12 meter diameter target, you get 3. Big circle, and it rolls out of the big circle, you get 3. If you hit it over the barrier and into the circle and it stays in the circle, you get 4. And if I'm marshaling the hole and they hit the flag, they also get $1. Me.
Okay. Let's see, going on. So the iron shot and then the wood shot, I think, is essentially the same rules, but
yeah, essentially the same rules. On this shot, they should use whatever club, the iron shot, whatever club they feel best about. The most important club in any team member's bag is confidence, and so whatever club they have the most confidence in, they should hit. 7-iron, 5-iron, 4-iron. 4-iron is probably the optimal club, 4 or 5-iron. And so you have a 30-meter line and 35 meters wide. Then you have a 60-meter line, a 90-meter line. And so, again, if they swing and miss, it's 0. If they swing and hit it anywhere, it's 1. If they swing and hit it past the first barrier into the second one, they get 2 points. If they hit it past the second barrier into the third one, they get 3 points, and if they hit it past the 90-meter line, they get 4 points.
Mike, we have a question from Bob Muller.
okay. Let's wrap the wood shot, and then we'll come back to Bob's question.
Okay. Bob, so the wood shot is the exact same thing, but it starts at 60, 90, 120.
And it's a little wider.
And also it's a little wider, right?
And just because you've given recommendations on other holes, any again, I'm not a golfer, so this may be a stupid question, but is there a recommended?
Just whatever wood they like the best. Some of them like the rescue club better. Some of them like the 3-wood better. Some of them like their driver better. Whichever one they're most comfortable with. And then this comes up at some of the tournaments. Some people try to use the rescue club for both the iron shot and the wood shot. That's not allowed. They have to use a different club. So if they have a 5 rescue club, they can use that for the iron. But if they go to the wood station, they can't use that same club again. They have to use a 3 rescue wood or a 3-wood or a driver or anything but the one that they already used on the iron shot, and vice versa if they start on the woods.
Okay. Great. Let's go to Bob Muller's question. Bob, your line should be open. Can you? I know we had trouble with you hearing you before. Okay, Bob, I'm not sure. There's some technical issue. If you could go ahead.
Bob, why don't you call me? This is Chuck Helmuth. Why don't you call me on my cell phone? 301-526. Wait a minute. Hold on. 301-526-3121, and I can answer that. You can either call me now or after the meeting ends. If he calls now, I'll mute this phone.
Okay. Or you can type it into the question box. So
we're typing in the question box.
Okay, then kind of going ahead. So level 2, we sort of talked about this already. You want to just touch on the gist of level 2 for folks?
Just the level 2 is alternate shot with a partner. And again, you have to pick which holes you start because there's 9 holes, and assuming that the unified partner is the better golfer, which isn't always the case, but is usually the case, then the unified golfer should tee off on the first hole, which means he gets 5 drives, whereas the Special Olympian would get 4 drives. And then the other caveat to that is that you can do your best scoring on a par 3s. So if the par 3s are on even numbered holes, you might consider reversing that.
Scoring, of course, we'll go through that. I think I'm not sure that we need to go into all the details here unless somebody has a particular question. And level 3. The gist of it?
The same exact thing as level 2 comments, except that because there's 18 holes, obviously you'll be teeing off on 9 holes each, so that which holes you decide to tee off on should be based entirely on where the par 3s are most predominant. In Seattle, the par 3s on the level 2 and the level 3 were predominantly on odd holes. So we had the better golfer tee off on the odd holes, odd numbered holes.
Scrolling through. So for level 4 and then level 5, any highlights?
No, anybody that's got the level 4 or level 5 knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And again, caddies are recommended. That would be something your county or your area would need to provide. Anything special in terms of what a caddy can or can't do?
On level 4, the caddy can basically serve as a coach and pretty much say and or do anything a coach would do. In level 5, the caddy is supposed to be like the professional caddies that you see on TV. If the player asks you a question, you can answer the question. If the player does not ask you a question, you cannot give advice.
I think so. That's level 5 there. Again, solo golfer, and that does it. So in terms of the rules,
Mike, we have a question from Pence Potter.
Hey, Pence. Now, Pence, you should be open. Your line should be open. Oh, we're having a similar problem. Pence, we're not hearing you. You try that again. Just make sure your phone. Well, I guess you're on the computer. You're not on an actual phone.
Should I mute mine? Would mine be causing a problem for other people?
It shouldn't. You can try it, but that shouldn't be doing it.
Okay, I'm going to mute mine now. Why don't you try Pence again?
Okay. One more time, Pence. Okay, I'm not sure. We haven't had this trouble with other webinars and such. It looks like it's only folks who are on by VoIP. So, Pence, if you could go ahead and type your question into the question box, Kendall will read it for you. And I apologize that we can't open the line up for you to talk. And say hi to PJ from all of us when we're done. Just a couple more brief slides here to cover. And then any other questions, we'll open it up again. The state tournament is definitely October the 1st at Queenstown. Again, we'll be offering everything, the individual skills and the levels 2 through 5. Well, tonight's session is not to go into this, but we just wanted to make sure that we highlighted those items. And then we have had, since the last time, or since last golf season, we have had some turnover in personnel. Actually, since last golf season, 3 of these folks are new. Ron Freeman joined us in the beginning of October last year with Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Melissa Anger is still with us, is going from the bottom up. Kristen Mullins joined us for Central Maryland. She started actually, I think, the day before summer games. And then Kendall, who we've heard a couple times here, joined us a week or so before summer games. So we're very excited to have them all here. Obviously, our newer folks are moving up the learning curve, but they're dynamite. I think as you get to know them and get to work with them, you'll see just how wonderful they are. The one other thing before we just open up to any final questions, I did want to point out, we are not going to go through all these slides here, but did want to point out that there are slides at the end. These are reference slides on the registration forms. The deadlines and such we talked about at the beginning, and that's all there. But these are all here for you, including copies of the medical, so on down the line, and so on. The medical application, the releases, and so on. The one thing I did want to note, just because this seems to be a point of confusion for some folks, is for the student minor reference, that this form is in addition to the regular volunteer form. It's not in place of that. And then the other item that everybody should have in your first aid kit and always have on hand is a copy of the incident report. You can use this for a variety of things. The most common use for it is if someone gets injured. Hopefully that won't happen. But if somebody gets injured, you fill this out. Who you send it to is at the bottom. This can also be if there's any damage that is done to a facility that you're using, that where we might have to have our insurance company might potentially get involved. This can also be used if there's any kind of a behavioral issue or other type of conduct issue that you want to document. That can be used for all those purposes. So that's all there. Again, I don't want to go through it all. Those of you who've been with us for a couple of years know that for like a year and a half, we went through excruciating detail through all those. We don't think it's necessary anymore, but just be sure you get that. You look at it if you need to. So that said, check again for any questions, Kendall, either on the phone or anybody who's typed in.
No, not as of right now.
Okay.
Actually, we just had one pop up from Tony. He says that the 10x rule should be counted as 11 strokes, not just 10 to break a tie. The 10x rule does not work in told stroke play.
Oh, you didn't see Bunker Shot. That was me. That was me talking about sand earlier, but it wasn't actually on the slideshow.
Chuck?
Yeah,
I think.
No, so you're the level 1 coach. Like, I mean, sometimes.
Hold for just a second, Tony, until we can get the.
You know, I was watching. I just happened to be on the course at one of the tournaments last year, and I won't name the county, but for some reason the coaches were on that hole, but they weren't watching the players.
Yeah, Tony, and looking at the rules on that, the 10x. One thing I did note there.
The people, and
I'm not sure what you mean in terms of the 11. It's counted as 10 for the total, but it does work counter to that. If, I'm not sure if this is addressing the item or the question here, is that if they, that is just to break a tie, and the number of 10X strokes. But I'll tell you what, we'll follow up, and we'll be sure to get that out with any clarification when we send the slides and the link to the recording.
There are people.
Okay.
I won't say.
Go ahead and.
Right there are people.
We're hearing his cell phone conversation. So again, apologize with that, but hopefully that'll help. It looks like Matt just put in that Frederick is having their qualifier on September 24th at Cluster Spire. So that's fantastic, Matt. Kendall will be sure to include that in the stuff that we send out. So any other questions, comments?
We have a question from Eileen Taylor.
Okay.
Hi, I was wondering the date and time and location of the coaches training in Phoenix, Maryland.
Okay, we'll go back to that slide, and just to check, Eileen, you're on your VoIP on your computer itself, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're working. I'm not sure what the problem. I thought there might have been an issue with that with when we had problems with both Bob and Pence clicking through it, but it's working for you. So okay, here you go. And again, this was at the very beginning of the slide deck. So
I had a phone call in the middle of it, and I wanted to.
Sure, that happens. That's not a problem. So this actually just got firmed up today. So Kendall will be sure to include that as a highlight that and when we send the slides and everything out. But there you go.
Okay, in person, August 19th.
Okay.
Thank you. Leave it up for a second.
Absolutely, we'll leave it up. Any other questions?
We have a question from Pence Potter again.
Let's try Pence again. Fingers crossed, Pence. Let's see if we can hear you this time. Yeah, Pence, I'm not sure what's happening, sir. If you want to try typing your question into the question window, we'll see if we can help you that way. I'm going to unmute Chuck as well again. Hey, Chuck, we muted you while you were on the cell phone there, so,
We have a question from Al.
Okay.
Thanks. For the coaches training, in the past, this was not only for program coaches for golf, but also the unified partners. Is that still the correct thing?
Yep, it's open. It's available to them. Yes, as noted on the screen. If you have some athletes that are upper level and could benefit from it, that's fine to bring them as well. Again,
okay.
We have a limit of 50 individuals on a first come, first serve, and we'll have the link to that out, the registration link, out shortly.
Is this that information updated in GMS for those that have attended in the past?
It should be, yes.
Okay.
I think we're up to date unless somebody's taken an online course in the last week.
Okay. Yeah. One thing that I've noticed, at least with my phone with this, I've had to push the microphone button after you enabled me to be able to talk.
Okay.
So if somebody has that function, they may have to also, when you unlock them, push the microphone button. So.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah, the folks that had difficulty were actually on their computer audio though. So, but there may be something that's being missed there. But one last check. Any other questions for folks? Okay, if not, Chuck, any last comments?
We have a question from Greg.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to know if you want to go over the submission process for each week of the qualifiers. For example, I wouldn't want all the other counties sending me their request.
Yeah, I would love to go over that, but I don't think we're ready to.
Okay.
We'll send that out. That will be in the community, as I think I mentioned it once, but if people didn't catch that, with the golf email list, we'll include how to register for that, for those in the first batch that goes out.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, thanks for that. So, yeah, good point, and shouldn't have glossed over it that much. Okay. Any last comments? If not, again, thank you very much. We're looking forward to a great season. I think all of you, as you get to know Kendall and work with her, in addition to the familiar faces on the sports management team, I think we've got a great group of folks here steering this season, and looking forward to a fantastic time. If you have any questions, again, you can respond to Kendall's email, and then also in the slide deck, if you haven't met your new regional sports directors, you can contact them as well, and they can steer any question you might have to the right person. So thank you again. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll look forward to you out on the course. Good night.